As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports. It's the Jeff Iafrate Show, and today we have a lot to get to. Lions beat the Browns. We'll talk about that. I have updates when it comes to players that got injured. I'll talk about some things that happened from the game, of course. And if you're tuning in, I appreciate you. We have a QR code right here. Nose to the shop. Trying things out here. So QR code, you can go to the store, officialctsports.com, get your merchandise. Hope everyone's having a great victory Monday. Lions beat the Browns. And I know it's the Browns, of course, but this is the same Browns team that took down the Packers last week, 13-10. So a win's a win, all right? And something we talked about on the postgame show, which, by the way, is very important, and people don't want to bring it up because every time the Lions beat a team that's not good, people will say, well, it's the Browns or it's the Bears, right? The Packers lost to this team a week prior. So let's keep that in mind, all right? They lost to this team a week prior. The Lions made the Browns look how they look. It's a very good defense. And Joe Flacco, even though he is a statue, like more so than like Goff actually moved really well in the pocket against the Browns, but Joe Flacco is he cannot move at all. They still can sneak up on teams, and the Lions did not allow them to do that. They beat them by 24 points, 34-10, dominated them. The defense dominated. The offense, could be better. There's things they can work on, but they still won by 24 points. All right, at home, took care of business. And I'll get to the Packers-Cowboys game, by the way. That was last night. It was just, we have to have a conversation today about the Packers. We have to have a conversation about Aiden Hutchinson. We have to have some conversations, of course, about some injuries that, we're going to talk about the future and what the Lions should do or what will they do, who they could sign, who's going to fill the void of DJ Reed while he's out. Same with potentially Taron Arnold. We'll see what happens with that. But it's Victory Monday. You can't complain. Hope everyone's doing well. I see Honch in there. My boy Jeff. Appreciate you, Honch, for tuning in. Seth as well. We got MC3 Houdat, Crazy Clown. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Again, QR code in the top left of your screen goes to our shop, Official CT Sports. You can get your merchandise, which, by the way, we are in the process of gathering the 3 winners of last week to send out merch. If you haven't DM'd those 3 winners, please send us a message. We're trying to get those taken care of. We have not forgot about you. We will get your merchandise. Do not worry about it. We are not scamming you. All right. Like I said, plenty to get to today. Hope everyone's doing well. Of course, whenever the Lions win, it is very fun. And on top of that, what is very fun is checking the NFC North rankings and seeing the Detroit Lions number 1 in the NFC North. That's where they are. Number 1 right now. 3-1, the Lions are. The Packers tie with the Cowboys. They are 2-1-1. Now, the Packers have the tiebreaker, and the Packers also have an easy schedule. But here's the thing, and this is what we have to talk about with the Packers. Because it was a question after week 1, after they beat the Lions. The biggest question people throw out there is, are the Packers legit contenders? And there was a lot of people that were saying, yes, of course, with Micah Parsons, they are legit contenders. I think we have an answer, and there's still plenty of questions, I think. So even if it's not a definitive answer, you're still looking at a Packers team that has question marks. Number 1, we'll start with that defense. The defense played very well in the first 2 weeks. Very well. Even though they had questions at corner, which the Lions, we saw in week 1, it didn't really matter. But again, we'll see later in the year when they play the Packers. I think this is a much different team. Of course, we all know that. Those corners are going to get exposed. And they got exposed last night against the Cowboys, by the way, with Brian Schottenheimer as the head coach of the Cowboys, the offensive guy. Dak Prescott was incredible last night against the Packers. He was 31 of 40, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was sacked once, had 124.9 passer rating. He threw all over the Packers, all over them. You had George Pickens, 8 catches, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. They took advantage of a secondary that has question marks. All right. And we see this in the NFL often. We've seen it in the past. And this is where, it's an overreaction league. The NFL is probably the sport for it. I'm trying to think of, I guess there are other teams, but since there's a short amount of games and it's a week-to-week basis, people have all week to break down the prior week. It's not like the NBA or the NHL or the MLB where there's games every other day. So you find answers quicker. The NFL, you have to wait an entire week. So the Packers beat the Lions week 1, and all week, including us, including fans, we're talking about the game going, what the hell was that? And you have to wait a whole week before you see the Packers again, or in that case, it was Thursday night against the Commanders, or see the Lions again. You have to wait an entire week. So people all week are talking, the Packers are legit, the Lions aren't, yada, yada, yada. And then you see the second week, and the Packers beat the Washington Commanders, and people are saying, well, maybe they are legit. They took down the Commanders. They beat the Commanders. And the question we always discuss on the show was Jordan Love, his inconsistency. And last night he was really good. So it wasn't necessarily a Jordan Love problem. But against the Browns, he was not good. The offense was not good for the Packers. And that defense got torn apart. And that's I guess what the Packers are hanging their hat on is that defense. And they got torn apart last night. So there's plenty of questions. Is that defense legit? I think we still have to figure that out. Can you trust Jordan Love in that offense with no true identity on that football team besides Josh Jacobs, or no true number one receiver with Jaden Reed and Christian Watson out? Romeo Doubs is a good player. Matthew Golden, good player, but he's not a true number one yet. So there's still question marks for this Packers team. And this Lions team is showing the NFL that they are just as legit as they have been, even with new coordinators, which was the biggest question going into the season. So the Lions have, I think, even though they've lost to the Packers in week 1, they look like a better team. They do. And the thing that championship teams do that good teams don't do, I'm talking about contenders versus just good teams. There's teams that make the playoffs, right? Versus teams that are legit contenders. And Amon-Ra St. Brown and Aiden Hutchinson mentioned this after the game. Complementary football. That's what's important. The Lions are able to do that on a week-to-week basis. If the offense is playing well and the defense isn't, the offense will keep them in games and win in shootout fashion. When the defense is playing really well and the offense isn't, the defense steps up, and holds a team under 20, or they get key turnovers, or, against the Ravens, for example. They stepped up. The defense stepped up when they needed to, even though the offense was scoring a bunch of points. The defense knew, hey, we have to show up and we have to step up when our number's called. Special teams, another one. Against the Browns, tight game. Khalif Raymond gets a punt return. Complementary football. The Packers, I don't think, are that yet. They aren't. And that's a problem. Championship teams are able to do that. You see that with some of the best teams in the NFL. Obviously, the Ravens lost, and I don't know what they are with all the injuries, and they could very well miss the playoffs. But the Bills, for example, these great teams, the Eagles, another one, for example, the Eagles, they're in a tight game against the Rams, and you get a blocked field goal returned by Jordan Davis. It's like complementary football. That's what happens when you're a championship team. And the Lions, I think, have checked that box, not because of a 3-game or 4-game sample size, but they did it last year. It's what they've been. And MC3 Hudad says, CeeDee Lamb. He wasn't there for the Cowboys, and they still picked apart the Packers. So it's interesting now. This NFC North is a lot different. Obviously, the Vikings, I think it's going to be a 2-team race. And the only thing the Packers have going for them, to be honest with you guys, is the schedule. I mean, the schedule's so easy. And they have a third-place schedule, so it's going to be a lot easier than the Lions. Just how it is. The Packers, just to give you guys an idea who they play, the next 5 games for the Packers. They play the Bengals. Obviously, they have a bye week. So they have a bye week, then they play the Bengals. Lions play the Bengals this week. They play the Bengals, the Cardinals, the Steelers, the Panthers. The next 4 games. Then they play the Eagles, but then they play the the Giants. And then they play the Vikings. They could very, very well win, 5 of the next 6 games. They could. So at the end of the day, the only thing the Packers have going for them is the schedule. Because they won 2 very tough games against the Lions and Commanders already. But who's to say they can't drop another one? They've already lost to the Browns. Exactly. Platonic Zombie. That's the point. On paper, it's an easier schedule, but again, are they a contender? Contenders take care of teams they're supposed to beat. The Lions, the Browns, they take care of them. The Bears, they take care of them. I expect to take care of the Bengals. That's just the expectation with a team that's a legit Super Bowl contender, is they beat the teams they're supposed to beat. That's why Booner was harping on there's no such thing as trap games with a team like the Lions, because they're at a level now where they take care of teams they're supposed to beat, which is fair. So the Packers are now in a very different situation. And I know Micah Parsons at the end got a sack on Dak, but Micah Parsons didn't really do much for the entirety of the game. Just saying, man, we're all those people that said it was definitive the Packers are the best team in the NFC North and the Lions are done. What are we doing? We never said that. I had concerns about the offense, of course, after week 1. Like, what the hell's going on? But I never said that. I never said the Lions are done, the season's over, pack it up. Never said that. And they're proving they're still a very good team. Adore K. So since the Cowboys and Packers are tied, does that mean neither team won or both teams won? I mean, ties are the worst thing in the NFL. It sucks. But, you see it very rarely. But we'll see at the end of the year what it means. We have to see what the Lions and Packers end up with record-wise and what that kind of means. It's neither. It's not a win or a loss. It's kind of I don't know. It's like a standstill. It's like you just get a tie in the record sheet. It's really weird. I don't know. I remember the Lions last time they tied. It was another disgusting game. When you see a 40-40 tie, it's more rare. Usually you see like a terrible game offensively. Usually if you score that many points, you expect points to be scored in overtime and someone to win. Even the Giants and Cowboys game, the Cowboys ended up kicking a field goal and winning. But yeah, it's crazy. A 40-40 tie is pretty ridiculous. I mean, the Packers allowed 40 points. Yeah, but the overhit. Coach Walk, any word on Reed? So we can get into all that too. Nobody appreciate, remember for 9 months. Love keep showing he's inconsistent. Yeah, I mean, he's bad against the Browns, great against the Cowboys. Obviously, two very different defenses. But yeah, he has to prove over a 17-game season and playoffs that he can be the Jordan Love they paid. He can be the franchise quarterback because he is inconsistent. I think he's a good quarterback. He's a very good quarterback, but he's just not a consistent quarterback. Jared Goff, the Lions have going for him is he's very consistent. That's one thing you love about Goff. He's pretty steady. He's always playing at a high level. I know against the Commanders, he didn't have his best game, but again, he's not going to be perfect, but he's more consistent than Jordan Love, no question. The Lions did suffer some injuries, and that game was very physical against the Browns. When you face a defense like that, or a team like that, to be honest, like the Browns are very, their offensive line, Jack Campbell talked about it, run blocking, they're very physical. Judkins, very physical running back. Their defense, very physical. Their defensive line, very physical. Like their DBs, they're a very physical team. So when the Lions are a very physical team. So things are going to happen. It's football at the end of the day. Guys are going to get hurt. But in games like this, things happen. And, you see a guy like Terran Arnold get picked on early, and then he goes down. And I know the easy thing to do would be to, point out Terran Arnold and mention how he hasn't been great this year, which is fair. He has not been great, but the reality is you'd much rather have him playing because let's be real here. Rock Ya-Sin or Khalil Dorsey, you can't sit here and argue that they're better options because at least Terran Arnold, he's struggling at times. He's being picked on. It's a fact. You at least know that his best is better than who you have behind him. And even though he's inconsistent and he's a young player, you'd still rather have him out there. He went down. Dan said in his press conference post-game that he does not know if he'll play this week. He doubts he will, but it's not a long-term injury. So Terran Arnold won't be out for a long time. Now, DJ Reed is the one you have to look out for, and I think this is the positive side of it. And there's no confirmation yet, but what people are, including Dan said this about DJ Reed, does not expect him to play this week. Obviously, did not look like he's going to play this week. He was carted off. But with a hamstring injury, we have to just know the severity of it. We will get information today about that. But it's not going to be a season-ending injury. So DJ Reed will be back at some point this season. That's the feeling I have. So I'm not worried about it. I think they'll be fine. You want DJ Reed back, later in the schedule, playoffs. Marcus Davenport, he's not out for the season. That's good news. He'll be out for 4 games, and then he'll be back. Hopefully stay healthy for the playoffs. But yeah, it could have been much worse, definitely. Especially the way DJ Reed went down. You weren't really sure what it was. And we know it's not season ending. All right. At least I'm very confident it's not season ending. And then same with Terran Arnold. Aiden Hutchinson did go down, but he explained it after the game. He just got the air knocked out of him. It did not look like that watching the game. We were doing our watch party, which you guys should be watching along with us. It's a lot of fun. I know people, by the way, can I explain something about the watch parties too? And I know we've been getting comments about this, and I just want to clarify this. I know people are like, oh, you guys are on your phones. Listen, ideally, we would not want to be on our phones, all right? But we don't just do YouTube. Crunch Time Sports we're a digital media company. We have a YouTube, we have a Twitter, we have a TikTok, we have a Facebook, we have an Instagram. We have everything. And we have 5 guys. We all run everything. So on the stream, if we're on our phone, I promise you, we're not texting our mother. We're sitting there texting grandma. We're running our social media platforms. So as much as, we try to be engaged, and we really are for most of it, there's going to be times where we're on our phones. We're working. All right. Just want to make sure that's very clear. I've seen comments about that. It's like, guys, trust me, we're not on our phones dilly-dallying playing slots. All right. We're working here. All right. Just want to clarify that. So anyway, I know people are like, these guys are on their phones. They have to enjoy the game. Trust me. I wish one day we'll have people running everything and we can enjoy the game fully, but that's just not the case right now. But yes, you should be watching our watch parties. It's a lot of fun. And obviously our reactions go up every single week. It's a blast. But when we saw Aiden Hutchinson go down, we were freaking out. But he was fine. He's fine. And that's all that matters. That is all that matters. It's one of those things where Hutch is a player that people believe is the linchpin. And if he were to go down, it would be I don't even want to mention that. You know what? Let's not even get into that. It would be devastating. And he's one of the toughest players. I swear to God, he's so tough. He goes down, he gets up, he goes to the sideline. He does not get phased, and that's great. It's like Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell is just an absolute unit, and I love it. So yeah, nothing for Aiden Hutchinson. Good news. So it's really, and Kirby Joseph was running on the sideline. So that ended up being less than what it actually looked like, which is good. So the injuries, it's really just Terran Arnold, DJ Reed, and, they already had some guys on the injury report already that were out for the game. Vaki, obviously, which is unfortunate. He was out for the game. And, again, we'll see what happens there. But, yeah, I wouldn't worry about DJ Reed or Terran Arnold. I think it's good news, to be honest. It could be way worse. Coach Walk, you don't have to explain anything, Jeff. People think you're playing Ring Bet. They're silly. Yeah, appreciate that, Coach Walk. I just wanted to I don't feel like I have to explain it, but I do. Trust me, I'm the same way. Like if I thought people maybe appreciate the clarity or the context, but regardless, if they don't, who cares? Who gives a damn, honestly? Appreciate you guys and the support as always. And the QR code, like I said, in the corner is our store. You can check out our shop as well and see what happens there. Zach says, any word on Lamar? I have not heard anything. I'm assuming I just saw hamstring. So the Ravens are in a very tough spot. And the Lions, I will say, for the most part, and this is the good news about the Lions right now, is they're relatively healthy. So, I mean, knock on wood, but they are. They've been relatively healthy on both sides of the ball. I know DJ Reed and Terran went down, but again, I don't expect it to be season long. So it's not the end of the world. It isn't. And you're still getting a Lee McNeil back in a couple of weeks. Marcus Davenport will come back in a couple of weeks. You're going to get some depth on that D-line. And it's good news. So, Aiden Hutchinson, though, aside from the injury thing, Aiden Hutchinson, and we went to training camp. We got to see this, and I know you guys follow us, and we report on it. And Aiden Hutchinson in training camp was unreal. He was looking like one of the best defensive players in the entire NFL. It was insane. And I know at times he was up against Dan Skipper and Giovanni Manu, so he's dominating these guys. But the reality is he was doing it against Penei Sewell too. All right? He was lights out in training camp. Going into the season, again, week 1 against the Packers, let's just erase that game because it wasn't even Aiden. It was just no one looked like who they typically look like. So it's hard to even use that as an example. But let's go week 2 and beyond. Let's just get that Packers game out of here. Aiden Hutchinson is heating up. And the crazy thing about last night or yesterday was he had 2 sacks and a forced fumble against the Browns. And we knew he was going to have a day because the Browns tackles suck. And Aiden is that good of a player. He was going to dominate no matter what. They weren't going to be able to stop him. 2 sacks and a forced fumble. Here's the thing. Brian Branch committed a penalty. It should have been 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. That would have been the best game of the year for any defensive end. I don't care who he's playing. 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. He dominated the Browns. He's hitting tackles with spin moves, his signature spin move. He's hitting them with different, swim moves, power moves. He can do it all. And he's so athletic, and he's a freak. And Joe Flacco's a statue. It was just a recipe for disaster for the Browns. And he had the strip sack that was incredible. And it was basically, at that point, the game was over. It was just basically a hammer hammer to the nail in the coffin. But Aiden is looking like the defensive player of the year, man. Right now, if you look at Aiden, what he's doing production-wise, he's up there, and he's catching heat. And I'm telling you right now, who do they play next? The Bengals. He's going to feast again. I promise you. He's second in the league in forced fumbles. He's tied for 5th in sacks. He should have 5 sacks. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep saying that. He has 4 sacks. He should have 5 sacks. 4 sacks in 4 games. I mean, we're on pace for almost 20 here. All right. And I know pace is different than reality, but you never know. You think he's going to have another 2-sack game? Probably. Will he have a game where maybe he doesn't have a sack? Yeah, but it'll all even out at the end of the year. This is going to be not only a double-digit sack guy, but this is someone that is going to get 16, 17, hell, even 18 sacks this season. And the thing about Aiden that has been really impressive that I think he's adding to his arsenal, and this is what the greats do, and Aiden's going to do this year, and already off to a very hot start with it, is forcing fumbles. Like his first 2 years, he had 3 picks his rookie year, a pick his second year, but now he's doing it in different ways. 2 forced fumbles in 4 games. Like, if he ends the year, like, think about it, guys. Like, he ends the year with 17.5 sacks, 6 forced fumbles. Let's just go off that. How many players are going to be in that realm? Who in the league is going to have similar production than that? Probably Myles Garrett. Okay. I mean, there might be another player. TJ Watt's been relatively quiet, but I think he'll catch heat. But there's not going to be too many guys. Max Crosby obviously had a really big day against the Browns. But there's not going to be a ton of guys with 16, 17 sacks. You know, Micah Parsons, another one. I'll give you that one, Art. But there's only going to be a couple guys in that conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. And if Aiden's on a 12, 13-win team, he's by far their best defensive player, and he has 16, 17 sacks, 6, 7 forced fumbles, whatever the case may be. He has a case for Defensive Player of the Year. And I'll tell you, he's already going to win Comeback Player of the Year. He looks just as dominant as he was to start the season last year, Aiden Hutchinson. He really does. It's just as advertised. He looks incredible. No one can stop the guy. And I think when Aleem gets back, it's only going to help him. You're just getting more help on the interior. You know, and AQM didn't have a sack, but AQM's been really solid for them. Tyleek's becoming, I think, a better pass rusher as the season goes on. He's winning more one-on-ones. You can tell he's crushing the pocket. You know, DJ Reader, it's not really what he does, but he's just a run stuffer. He does good too. So Aiden is just on he's on an incredible pace. Maybe he doesn't have 7.5 sacks in 5 games, but he also had a game with 4.5 sacks last year. You know, like he's listen, we could do all the take away this, take away that, take away the Brian Branch penalty. He has 5 sacks. Let's just go off that. 5 sacks in 4 games. He's on a similar pace than last year. Okay. And I know Brian, listen, I love Brian. The penalty, come on, man. All right. Badly timed penalty there. But even 4 sacks in 4 games for Aiden's really incredible. It really is. He's playing really well. And I'm telling you, he's going to make a shit ton of money. He is. They're going to have to pay this man close to $50 million. I know people don't want to believe it. It's the truth. Mike is making 47, guys. Think about it. If you're Aiden Hutchinson, this is always the correct way to look at things, because as a fan or as media, we'll look at it and say, well, no, he's not going to ask for 47. He should be in the 40s, low 40s. Okay. Look at it from Aiden's perspective. If I'm Aiden and I go out this year and get 16, 17 sacks, a handful of forced fumbles, I'm going to be like, I want 48. Because once I get 48, someone else is going to get 50. Someone else is going to jump him anyway. And we can blame Micah and the Packers for screwing up the market, but it's the reality. Do you believe Micah Parsons is $7 million per year better than Myles Garrett? No, but it's what the market demands. It's just what the price is. It's just what it is, man. It's not always about who's the best. It's about who's next and who's really good. You can't just be next and get the most, but you have to be very good. Aiden's next. He's going to get a crap ton of money. Like Will Anderson, obviously he's a very good player. He's going to get a crap ton of money when he's paid. So on and so forth. So it's just how it works. Like, you're going to have to pay Aiden a crap ton of money, and I'm okay with that. Aiden Hutchinson is going to be a big reason why you win a Super Bowl. He's going to make impactful plays. You guys remember the Rams when they won a Super Bowl? Aaron Donald had one of the most important plays in that entire game. I think the most important. At the end, sacking Joe Burrow before he can get the pass off to Jamar Chase. You don't think Aiden's going to make those type of plays for you in those moments? He is. That's why you pay him. Every dollar he wants, every penny he wants, you give it to him, and you don't think about it. You do it. Okay? So Aiden Hutchinson was incredible last night. I expect him to continue that, and I'm very, very excited for him. And guess what? People bring up the Buccaneers game, the 4.5 sacks. You play the Bucs in 2 weeks. Tristan Wirfs will be back, but they have some injuries too. So, they or 3 weeks, I should say, because they have the Bengals, the Chiefs, and then the Bucs. Chiefs have some offensive line issues, been a little shaky. Bengals, we don't have to say much. The offensive line, they got Joe Burrow killed. So I expect Aiden's production to continue. I'm very excited for him. He's going to make a crap ton of money. Watch out for him, Defensive Player of the Year. And actually, to be honest with you, let me check something. And Steve, I want to answer this question. I will talk about the corner depth after, because I have some theories on what the Lions are going to do. And I know people expect one thing. I would say watch on that, and I'll get to it. But let me see something. I want to see what Aiden is for Defensive Player of the Year. Let me see. What is Aiden? Okay. Defensive Player of the Year. Guess who's the favorite? Didn't even have to look at this, guys. 3 guys are the favorite, heavy favorites. Aiden Hutchinson, Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, plus 360. The next player, Nick Bonito, plus 1,500. Just saying. Just saying. Aiden, Micah, Myles Garrett, 3 favorites. Heavy. That's just how it goes. So Aiden's going to keep feasting. So happy for him. All right. Well, we can get to the corner depth. I do want to talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown later in the show, too, because I got to point out things he's doing, which is incredible. But what do they do at corner here? Okay, so the Lions have a couple options at corner. What they could do, and we talked about the defense and what Kelvin's doing with this defense last week. Kelvin's running 3 linebackers a lot. So in that instance, you don't have a nickel on the field at all times. I know last year they ran a lot more nickel packages with Amik Robertson, and they had 2 linebackers with Aaron Glenn. That's why Derek Barnes was out. They ran 2 linebackers. You had Amik more in the game. This year, Derek Barnes is back. You're running 3 linebackers. You're taking a nickel out, 2 high safeties. And that's why your Amik Robertson's off the field a lot, And there's times maybe you have a single high safety and you have room for Amik Robertson to play some snaps, but that's not all the time. That's why Amik's talked about his playing time going down. Kelvin runs those 3 linebackers. Now, what they could do, and I expect the Lions to do, I don't expect them to go make this big move for a corner. And I know people are expecting that. I think they'll sign someone. You have to bring in depth. But you have Amik Robertson who could play outside. So he's already one of the corners. He can play outside. And if you need a nickel, Brian can play nickel, and you can just put Kirby as a single high safety. So you have some versatility in your secondary to kind of make things work. I think they're going to keep who they have, man. Maybe add for depth, of course. But if we're talking about adding like a starter, I don't think so. I think they're going to rock with, no pun intended, rock with Rock Ya-Sin. I think he's probably going to be playing a lot more. So expect him to play. I know Dan mentioned Avonte Maddox can play outside corner. That's not ideal. Avonte Maddox can play nickel too. So you could have Amik Robertson outside corner. You could have Rock Ya-Sin outside corner. And then you have, in that case, Maddox as your nickel when you need a nickel. And then you have 2 safeties if you need them at times. So I think that's how they're going to handle it. I don't see them going out and making some trade or signing, some significant corner, because DJ Reed is not out for the year. If he was out, remember it took Aiden going out for the year for Brad to make a move for Zadarius. I don't think he's going to do that. And Steve Wilds brings up a really good point. I'd like them to bring back Whiteside. He had a good preseason. And that's actually Booner's boy, went to SVSU, Nick Whiteside. That'd be an option, And I know people say Asante Samuel Jr. Streams only. Yeah, exactly, Jeff. Brad will do nothing, and he's just losing his chance to do anything because he's paying his guys. So now deadlines get harder. I just think it comes down to this, though, with Brad. I think they look at it like this. And I get from the fans' perspective, it's like lose a corner. Who's the best corner in free agency? Go get him. It's not that simple, right? And we're learning this with Brad. He doesn't operate like that. I think in Madden, you operate like that. It's like, well, I lost a player due to injury. Let's go to the free agent list on Madden and just sign the highest overall. Brad and Dan don't operate like that. They're looking at, if they even look at Asante Samuel Jr., he's got to check a lot of boxes before they let him in the door. They're not going to just sign him because they need a corner. I think Brad and Dan, just for the years of covering them, I think Brad's going to look at the team they have, or Dan, and say, we like our guys. We like the guys we have. Rocky Scene can step up. Maddox can step up. We're good. And maybe a guy that was on the practice squad or a part of the roster that they cut, like a Nick Whiteside, will bring him back. We like him. He's already familiar with our system. Rocky Scene's familiar with our system. These guys are all familiar with our system already, and they probably prefer that, guys that are part of the culture already, than bringing in a free agent like Asante Samuel Jr., even though Asante Samuel Jr. might be a good player. And they have Khalil Dorsey too, Shane M. Forgot him. That's on me. He can play corner. So the reality is, guys, it's what fans want versus what they'll do. What they want is probably go and sign a corner. What they'll do is they'll keep who they have and probably sign Nick Whiteside to come in on the practice squad. And they'll have Khalil Dorsey, Rocky Scene, Maddox step up. That's just the reality. And they believe in their guys. They believe in the depth they have. And it's good you have Amik. Thank God he's in a contract year. But he even said, Amik even dropped a little nugget in the locker room scrum when the media was talking to him, that he prefers outside corner at times, man. I know he dropped a little nugget. He's like, I like playing outside corner because I get a feel for routes. I play a lot at outside corner. I get to feel the game, feel the matchup. At nickel, he's coming in and out, in and out, in and out. He says he doesn't really catch, he doesn't play. He doesn't get warmed. He doesn't get warm playing at nickel. He just gets in spots, and he'd prefer to play outside. So it's like, that's another nugget. It's like Amik Robertson will probably prefer to do what he's going to be asked to do moving forward. That's his preference. And he also knows that outside corners get paid more. Let's be real here. So you play more, you get paid more, you probably produce more. So I think Amik would even prefer that, to play outside, which he will be. They're probably going to have ask him to step up with no Terran Arnold or DJ Reed. So something to watch there. Let's be real. Super Bowl Wilson. Has anyone actually asked themselves why Samuel Jr. is a free agent? Yeah, that could mean a lot of different things. Listen, it could be an Asante Samuel Jr. problem, or it could just be he has offers. There's a chance that he has had offers and is just waiting for the right one. That's also a reality too. I don't know. You don't know. We don't know. It could be he stinks and no one wants him a part of their team, which I doubt is the actual answer, my personal opinion, or he's had probably limited offers and he doesn't like what's being offered. And he's a guy who's gotten injured in the past. I mean, he's with the Chargers. He's just, he's had good seasons, but the Chargers didn't even want to bring him back. So I think that also speaks volumes to Asante Samuel Jr., to be honest. But yeah, I don't expect Brad to go make some big trade like for a Reek Woolen or, I see Getaboy Juan trade for Reek Woolen. They're not doing that. They're just not. They're just not. Coach Walk, Robertson has been the most reliable DB that we've had the last 2 years. I actually agree with you, Coach. I think Robertson's super underrated. Not just with not Lions fans, but in the NFL. Super underrated corner, man. Like you tell me how many guys can play outside and nickel at a very high level. Like Amik can do that. And it's very valuable. Like very, very valuable. And he's getting paid what? 8-9 million? And he can play outside for you. He's a steal. He's an absolute steal to have. So, Amik Robertson, I agree with that, Coach. Super underrated, I think, in the NFL. But definitely among Lions fans. Jason, Brad is going to call Mosley if he looks for a veteran DB. I'm not even joking. Okay, Jason, don't scare me like that. Okay, he's not bringing back Mosley. If he does, I will. No, I'm not going to say anything because it could happen. But no, Emmanuel Mosley's done. He's got to be retired. There's no way. All the injuries he sustained, there's no way. At least I'd hope there's no way. I would be so mad. I would be so mad if Emmanuel Mosley was brought back. I mean, that's just like, what are we doing? As a coach, he could be assistant DB coach. Love that. Secondary coach. But as a player, no. And I loved Emmanuel Mosley. I think he's just, man, he tore both ACLs. It's tough. Very tough. Can we talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown for a second, though? Shout out to him. He's having him and Goff. I tweeted this out yesterday. Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown, just from a quarterback wide receiver connection standpoint, there's not too many playing at the level they're playing at right now. Amon-Ra is 4th in catches, 6th in yards, 1st in touchdowns. He's caught 6 touchdown passes. 6 touchdown passes of Jared Goff's 9. And Goff is 2nd in the league in touchdown passes. What's going on? Amon-Ra had a good day against the Browns. 2 touchdowns, 7 catches, 70 yards. But look at what he's done this season. I mean, he didn't catch a touchdown against the Packers. I mean, no one did but Tesla. But since then, 3 touchdowns against the Bears, a touchdown against the Ravens, 2 touchdowns against the Browns. So he essentially has 6 touchdowns in 3 games. Like, Amon-Ra St. Brown's balling. He is, I think we can start having the conversation how big of a steal it was to sign him. Incredible. They signed him for, at the time, it was like $30 million. Now you're seeing receivers get paid $40. And he's playing like a top 3 wide receiver in the National Football League. Like, I think I think top 3 to 4, let's be real here, okay? Puka Nacua is playing really well. If you bring up 4 receivers in the National Football League right now that are playing at an insanely high level, Amon-Ra and Puka, in my opinion, are the 2 you bring up. Now, that on a year-to-year basis, typically you bring up Jamar and obviously Justin Jefferson. I think if Joe Burrow was healthy, Jamar would be in that conversation. Justin is cycling between a rookie quarterback who I think we'll see if he even works out, and Carson Wentz, who stinks. So Justin Jefferson's obviously, he doesn't have a fair shake there. But it's Puka and Amon-Ra playing at the highest level right now. He really is. I mean, he's playing incredible. He's been so good for them. He's been so steady for them. And the thing that people don't bring up that Amon-Ra St. Brown does at an elite level, on top of his hands and his ability to catch touchdown passes and get open, is his run blocking. Jameer's touchdown, because of him too. Like, Amon-Ra St. Brown's affecting the game even when he doesn't have the football. And how many receivers do that in the National Football League? If you're not getting targeted, how do you affect the game? Amon-Ra St. Brown does that. He affects the game even when he's not being targeted. And I know people are going to bring up Jameson Williams, right? And here's the thing about Jameson. I understand people pointing out, because this is the reality. And I think Jim Costa brought this up this morning, and I thought it was a good point. If Jameson Williams was on his rookie deal, I don't think many people would be as upset about the drops. I don't think the drops, they didn't matter. You beat the Browns by 24 points. It doesn't really matter. I think if you lost that game or it was closer, people would be bringing it up more. You blew a bad Browns team out. Jared Goff and J-Mo just weren't on the same page. We've seen them on the same page quite often, so it's not the end of the world. But I think why people bring him up or bringing him up today is because you just paid him, which that's the reality. And that's not just sports, that's life. If you're paying a CEO top dollar and he has a bad day or a bad 2 days or whatever the case may be, everyone's going to be like, this guy's making that much money and fucking up. It's the same. It's a thing. Now, J-Mo's not making top dollar, but J-Mo got paid. He got extended. They chose to pay him. So when you get paid, expectations rise. Now, you can't really afford to have a game like you just had without people bringing it up. It's like, we paid this guy, And again, that's the reality. Now we can talk about whether we're worried for the future or not. I'm not worried about JMO. He'll be fine. Like Dan has already mentioned this. JMO's not going to have hands like Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's not everyone is. Like Amon-Ra is a freak. He has incredible hands. He's gifted. He works his ass off. He's talented, all that stuff. JMO doesn't. It's not the end of the world. But guess what God has blessed him with? His speed. How many people in the league have that? You know? Is that a bad game? You know, it is what it is. I'm not going to harp on it and be like, oh, you paid this guy, take my victory. No, I don't give a shit. And I'm the guy that said I would have waited to pay JMO because you still have 2 years of control. But I'm not taking a low blow today. I'm not doing that. It's fine. He's okay. Like, think of all the plays he's made for the Lions, man. Like, I think I'm worried about one game where he has some drops. And to be honest, he had the one drop where it was really bad. 2 drops that were really bad. But there was a couple times where him and Goff just weren't on the same page. It wasn't like it was all JMO. It was Goff too. They just weren't connecting. And it happens. It's not the end of the world. Okay? So get your panties out of a bunch. Let's lock in. All right? JMO will be fine for the rest of the year. I ain't worried about it. Now, if he stacks bad games on top of each other, we can talk about it. But it's one game. And you think that Bengals secondary is going to be able to stop him? Hell no. They're not. So he'll probably bounce back this week against the Bengals and have a massive day. So I'm not worried about it at all, to be honest. Oh, there's a trade in the NFL just now. Browns are trading for Texans tackle Cam Robinson for a swap of late round picks. Okay, so the Texans just keep trading away offensive linemen. All right. So there are moves happening. Steve Wilds, if he had another second, he would have hit JMO on that one bomb. JMO had 2 steps. Yeah, that was the incompletion. That wasn't the pick. It could have been a pick, but it wasn't. I do remember that. Peaceful Tim says, told you Browns tackles were ass. Yeah, they were so ass, Tim. Andrew Berry woke up in the morning and said, I'm not ending the day without another tackle. They just made a trade. So that's how ass the Browns tackles were. And that's how bad Aiden Hutchinson dominated. I mean, Coach Walk, he dropped 3 passes yesterday. Could have been first downs. Yeah, I mean, 2 of them. He had one. It was a 40-yard. It was like a 40-yard catch. Right. By the way, Goff put it. I got to say this about Goff. Dude, Goff, there's passes Goff throws. Like that throw to JMO. I know people bring up his arm. Goff has an arm, dude. Like, and I know sometimes it comes out a little, you know, I get it. It comes out a little, quacks a little bit sometimes. I get it. But you see some throws Goff makes, and you're like, holy shit, it's incredible. I mean, he had one throw to JMO where he dropped right in the breadbasket. That should have been a completion. And then he had one over the middle, and JMO, it went right through his hands, which, you know, it happens. But both of those should have been caught. Those are 2 first downs. Massive plays. You know, and I know the thing with Goff people bring up is the fact that sometimes maybe it's not always smart. I think they brought it up on St. Brown's podcast too, but because I think EQ was like, yeah, he's throwing ducks or something, and Amon-Ra like laughed. I think they might even poke fun at him. I don't know. He's a very good quarterback. He's playing an elite level right now, to be honest. Like, you can't really say anything bad about Goff. He's balling this year. He is. So the narrative about Goff needing Ben Johnson, like, he's putting that shit to rest. I mean, he's, like he said, he's 2nd in the NFL in touchdown passes. He's 10th in yards, 7th in QBR. He's playing really well. He's playing really well, man. Credit to Goff. Post Ben Johnson. So all the people out there that said he couldn't play without him, he's showing you he can. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Steve, I trade for Malik Collins from the Browns for a late round pick at the deadline. He's an animal for depth, if anything. Yeah, dude, Malik Collins is a really good player. And Dan Campbell even complimented him in the post-game press conference, too. It's like, that Malik Collins is a beast. And I didn't know much about him, but they had him lined up at the edge spot going against Penei Sewell. Like, that Browns defensive line, dude, and I know the offensive line, I got to say this, too. I'll close the show with this. The offensive line for the Lions has been just incredible. They haven't allowed a sack in 3 weeks. You know, you lose Frank Ragnow, you lose Kevin Zeitler. You got 2 basically rookies playing at guard. The offensive line's been really good. And I know the Browns game, like, it was more so I would say, not to take credit away, because they still ran. Look what they did for Jameer run blocking. the receivers, the offensive line, they did a really good job. Pass blocking, there was times where Myles Garrett was back there and Jared was maneuvering and it was able to escape and get the ball out. So credit to Goff against the Browns at times for not allowing a sack. That was more so Goff at times than really just the offensive line shutting down Myles Garrett, but they still did a really good job. The last 3 games, no sacks for Goff. That hasn't happened. Think about it, guys. And there's people in here that have been fans longer than I have. So you guys are the perfect to ask this question to. Remember the last time the Lions went 3 straight games without allowing a sack. Think about it. I can't fucking remember it. I'm serious. They didn't do that with Frank Ragnow. They didn't allow a sack the last 3 games. Remember the last time you heard that stat? Matthew Stafford was killed here. Jared Goff early in his career here was killed. And then when they had the great offensive line, they still had slip-ups. Like, it's incredible. The offensive line's playing really well. So Hank Fraley, he's going to get interviewed to be an OC at some point. He's done a great job. I think he's one of the best offensive line coaches in the entire NFL. What he's doing with Tate Ratledge and Christian Mahogany in terms of development is unreal. And when you have a pillar like Penei Sewell, it obviously helps. He's incredible. But 0 sacks against the Bears, which again, okay, fine, Bears. 0 sacks against the Ravens. 0 sacks against the Browns with Myles Garrett. He's a favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year. What? That defensive line is very good for the Browns. One of the best. And that offensive line did their thing, man. They really did. So credit to them. Credit to them for that. So they're doing some special things out there. They really are. DET says, pocket presence was kind of beautiful. I cried a bit. No, I was crying with you, DET. Dude, the guy was moving. He was dancing in the pocket. It was unreal. It was beautiful to watch. There was a couple plays where Goff, he's moving. And I'm like, it looks like he's like post-baby. He's got like some not even dad strength, but like dad movement. He just looks smoother out there. It looks like he's got the mullet. I don't know if it's the mullet. Maybe it's a mix of the mullet and having a kid. But whatever it is, Goff looks... He's tap dancing in the pocket, and his pocket presence is always pretty good, but yeah, he was great against the Browns. It's dad senses, to Booner's point. That's actually a good way to say it. Dad senses. He's just, that dude's out there just got a good feel for the game. He really does. He looked more fluid, mile marker. It's a good way to put it too. Devin says the Browns game was super necessary for the Lions. I think they had to win in another way. Offense had to work through adversity. Dan's mentioned that. Got to find ways to win in different ways. You're not always going to score 40 points. They did score 30 and the offense didn't play well. Obviously, special teams helped out, which I think speaks volumes to who they are as a team. But they won, and Jared Goff didn't have to throw for 300 yards. You'll take that, guys. You'll take that every day. Jared Goff was 16 of 27, 168 yards, and they won by 24. And Dave, if I told you David Montgomery would run for 12 yards, Jared Goff would have a 46.3 QBR, and the Lions win by 24, you'd say what? It's like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, Jahmyr Gibbs almost ran for 100 yards. Amon-Ra would catch 2 touchdowns, and the defense would play probably their best game of the year. Okay. Peaceful Tim, I didn't like how they gave Monty the garbage reps this week. Yeah, I don't know what was good. Monty, I think we got to give it more time because he was coming off an incredible game against the Ravens, so it was a little confusing to me too. I think they just went into it thinking this was going to be a Jahmyr Gibbs game. I don't know why David... I don't know. He didn't. I mean, I had him in fantasy, so he didn't do shit for me. But more than that, who cares about fantasy? He was just did not look like himself for whatever reason. I don't know. They were throwing him into the fire. I just want to see him. I think they're still trying to figure out these 2 backs. I think they're trying to figure out kind of how it works. They start with Jahmyr Gibbs now, and then they get Monty in. But then there was times where they had Jahmyr Gibbs back-to-back drives. It was like, what's going on? When does Monty come in? It's like, what the hell? It's a little confusing. And I know Johnny Mo's got a tough job. He's got to feed all these guys, man. A lot of talent on this offense. So That's something. Maybe they're scoring a bunch of points, but I would say give that more time for Johnny Mo to iron that out. I would say give that more time for him to iron that out. That's probably the one thing you'd say for that. I would say. If you guys have any questions for the last 10 minutes of the show, we'll do Q&A. Any thoughts, concerns, I'll answer them. Before we do that, I do got to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper because they are the proud sponsor of Crunch Time Sports. So shout out to them. If you're speaking of fantasy, Dave Montgomery didn't do much for me, but on Sleeper, we're still winning. We're hanging in there. All right. I'm doing pretty well this year in fantasy. I actually am facing Caleb. Shout out to Caleb. Tonight I have Tyreek Hill, and I think he has. Let me see this. What does Caleb have? He has Cam Sutton. Or Cortland Sutton, not Cam Sutton. So we'll see. I'm taking you down, Caleb. So lock in. But Sleeper's the best. It's one of the best fantasy sports apps out there. It's one of the fastest growing fantasy platforms in the entire world. They got over 6 million active users as of 2 years ago. Think about the growth Sleeper is experiencing. It's incredible. It's the best way to experience and connect over sports. One-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on games in real time with other users, get the fastest scores, news, and alerts right at your fingertips, play in fantasy leagues, and win real money on picks contests. So you can enjoy sports the right way. Enjoy it together. It's the best. Use the code CT Sports. Get a $100 deposit, match up to $100. Appreciate them, as always, for sponsoring the program. Let's get back to the show here. Get a boy Juan. Let me get this question up here. You sicko. Oh, let me get this. Get a boy Juan, mailbag. How proud of you are you, Jeff, of the Ben and the Bears? Okay, get a boy Juan. Why do I got to be proud of the Bears, huh? By the way, want my real take on the Bears? That is rough. That is rough. They're winning, but at what cost? I mean, they got a lot of things they got to iron out. You beat the Raiders by 1 point off of what? You know, we'll see. You know, the Bears are a year away from even being a year away. So let's just, that they're not a threat in the NFC North. And you know, I picked them to go 9-8. Maybe I was a little too high on them. Not maybe, I was. But let's be real here. All right. You're just worried about the Packers. That's it. Okay. Vikings and Bears are they're figuring out their own problems. Vikings got a quarterback problem, and the Bears have a culture problem. I don't know what's going on. And I didn't see Ben Johnson snap on the reporter. So I got to see that. See, I like the drama. Let's see. Coach Walk, there wasn't a lot of Tesla. I didn't see him out there much at all. Yeah. I mean, I think Khalif is just such a, and I didn't even really mention Khalif today, which maybe that's just a bad thing. But Khalif is such a reliable player. And Tesla is more of this is how the Lions operate with young players. They bring them along slowly. And I know Tesla played a lot more against the Ravens, but he's going to play in spots. I would just let this thing kind of continue. He'll be fine. It's just, I'm with you though, Coach. I expected him to play a lot more. They don't really have a receiver like him. So you expect him to play a lot because of his size and what he can do. But yeah, he hasn't really been out there. Wasn't really out there that much. I didn't see the snap count. I guess I should have looked and gave you a better answer. Maybe I can actually look right now. Because I actually want to know that, to be honest. Let me see. Lion. Okay. Brown. Okay. All right. So Isaac played 12 snaps. David Montgomery played 20. So Gibbs played 37 snaps. Montgomery played 20. So that's interesting. Almost played double the snaps as Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah. Jimmy put it well, though. Tesla's a rookie trying to crack the starting lineup of an offense full of Pro Bowlers. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he'll probably be out there more with running plays. Such a good run blocker. Joe says Rappaport just said on X that Reed. Oh, is that Joe? Oh, hold on. Oh, there it is. All right, we have injury updates from Good Morning Football. Ian Rappaport just said, quote, the Lions are dealing with injuries to 2 of their starting cornerbacks, with DJ Reed a candidate for injury reserve, but no surgery required. That is massive. And cornerback Terran Arnold's shoulder should be okay, though. So this is great. Great news for Lions fans. All right, no surgery required for DJ Reed. And Terran Arnold, he's not going to be out long term. So let's break this down in a second. What do I expect the Lions to do? I don't expect them to go out and sign a random free agent corner. Random, keyword, random guy that people want to sign, like an Asante Samuel Jr. What I expect them to do is this. For the next, IR would be, 4 games? Terran Arnold's a couple games. What they're probably going to do, because of Kelvin's defense, 3 linebackers, they don't use a nickel all the time. They'll probably use Amik Robertson as an outside corner. And when they do need a nickel, it'll be Avonte Maddox. And the other outside corner will be Rock Ya-Sin, or maybe Avonte Maddox if they believe he can play it. Maybe they bring back Nick Whiteside to the practice squad. Maybe they promote him. That's how the Lions are going to handle this. I know it. All right. They're not going to go sign who we want them to sign. It's not going to happen. We should know this by now. So Amik Robertson playing outside, Rock Ya-Sin playing outside, probably Maddox at nickel in different packages. And then you still have your 2 starting safeties. And then at times you can use Brian Branch at nickel for, if you're in a single high safety look, you can put Kirby back there. So that's what they're going to do. And guys, it'll be fine. I know they're going to have some tough games. You're going to get Marcus Davenport in 4 games. You'll get DJ Reed back at some point for the playoffs, which is great. He's not a player that goes down and gets injured all the time. I know that it sucks, man. Hamstrings are brutal. Like, you can't, just one of those things that happens, and TA is going to be back at some point too. So, yes, the good news, not season ending. That's massive. DJ Reed, we know how well he's been playing. He played well against the Ravens, shut down Zay Flowers. You need him. So that's great news. And like Joe says, you got Aleem coming back in a couple of weeks too. So you got Aleem coming back. Of course, you got DJ Reed coming back. And TA won't be out that long. So great news. Great news. And I promise you, this defensive line, as long as they keep up what they've been doing, the secondary, it's okay. They can still stop the run, which they've been doing. If Aiden Hutchinson's playing at the level he's playing at, he's going to help out those guys on the back end. And Amik Robertson has shown, like he has in the past, he's capable of stepping up and guarding number 1 wide receivers. Like, don't sleep on him as an outside corner, man. He talked about it in the post-game media scrum where he likes playing outside corner. He likes it a lot. Gets a good feel for the game. He plays a lot more. Like, I think he's going to thrive. And they have a bye week. Great point. Great point on that. They have a bye week, so it'll help out a little bit. So it'll be good. All right. Could be way worse, guys. Lions are in a good situation. All right. It's not the end of the world. It's all good. And Devin says, wait, is Ennis out for the year? Ennis, yes, most likely out for the year. I mean, he had a pretty rough injury. So I don't know. I'm not even looking at him returning, but we'll see. Never know what can happen. But those are the injury updates. DJ Reed, not season ending. TA, definitely not season ending. He'll be back. So good news. Good news. We'll be live tonight, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So tune in then. Me and Booner will break it down. We'll talk about all this and more. Any more updates that come out, we'll be talking about it. So please hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, hit the like button on the stream. Appreciate you guys, as always, for the support. And, yeah, we'll see you at 8 o'clock. Until then, I'll catch you.